www.sliderrepair.com. Don't replace, refurbish. SliderRepair.com, 727-493-2644, Beacon Windows.
The Buzz in Tampa Bay, Senior Voice America Radio, a unique morning variety program delivering the latest commentary on politics by host and political analyst Tim Bryce and the up-to-minute happenings of Wall Street. Beyond politics and finance, they scale the scholar's rampart by including topics on religion and nutrition with thought-provoking guests and interviews. Tune in every weekday from 8 to 10 a.m. on this TAN Talk station. Senior Voice America, serving our nation's seasoned citizens for over 4 decades.
Hi, I'm Dawn with Sunkissed Charters. Come and sail with us on a 37-foot endeavor out in the Gulf of Mexico. Up to 6 people, $100 an hour, 3-hour minimum. You can split it between each other. Pet friendly, bring your own food, drinks, restrooms on board. Make it a memory maker. Call 727-871-7788 or call 727-315-4936. SunkissedCharters.com. We'll see you out at the Gulf of Mexico.
Listen to the latest pet trends with benefits on the Pet Buzz every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Join pet trendologist Charlotte Reed and veterinarian Dr. Michael Fleck as they talk all things pets. From animal health and wellness, money-saving tips, celebrity gossip, breaking news, and more. Their expert guests are in the know and in the now. To learn more about this unique program and its hosts, tune into the show on the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Hey, you new to the area or just want to know about the best hidden gems and upcoming events? Stay tuned. Be Local Buzz with Devin takes you to these places, introduces you to the best businesses, and tells you about upcoming buzz. Preset your radio to TAN Talk 1340 AM or 106.1 FM every Thursday from 4 to 5. That is the Be Local Buzz with Devin on TAN Talk 1340 AM and 106 FM every Thursday from 4 to 5. Looking forward to speaking with you.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is Patsy with the Z. Welcome to Joy on Paper, a program for writers and those who dream of writing, and for everyone who wants to know the story behind the book. Coming to you from TAN Talk Radio Network studio here in glorious Clearwater, Florida, the perfect place for writers to write and readers to enjoy a good book. At the bottom of the hour, I am going to be talking to somebody from National Geographic, and I always get so excited when I talk to somebody from National Geographic. And this book is particularly fun. It's called Weird But True Birthdays, and 300 Facts About Birthdays, and it is an absolutely wonderful book. I'm looking forward to talking to one of the editors there, and well, I think she's also a vice president now. Anyway, I am so happy now to turn to somebody who I made sure that I didn't cook any oatmeal when I was reading this book. And I am so happy to welcome back to Joy on Paper, A.R. Taylor. And the name of the book is Call Me When You're Dead. Hi, A.R.
Hi, Betsy. How are you? It's so lovely to talk to you again. I talked to you in 2020, and this is great.
I know, in the middle of the pandemic. Oh, God.
I know.
It was so terrible. And that's why I had so much fun talking to you, and I had so much fun reading your book at the time, Jenna Takes the Fall, which, as I said, it needed a warning label because when I started reading it, I couldn't put it down. And there were so many wonderful things about the book that I enjoyed. It has one of the most memorable openings. I remember it. And I didn't let you tell anyone about it because it was just people have to read the book to find out. But it's very funny. The prologue is very funny. Well, I mean, it's not supposed to be funny. I mean, we have a dead body, but what the heck? That's what we need.
You know.
Yeah,
it happens.
Yeah, it happens. And of course, the wonderful thing for me, I love books set in New York City, and so I was so amused when you were on at the time, and you said that you've done 2 stints in Manhattan, and I always think of that. Not many people call living in Manhattan a stint. We usually use that for going to prison, but I thought it was amusing.
I served my time.
You served your time. You served your time well, and you got a lot out of it, including a lot of good ideas for stories.
True. I mean, New York is just churns out stories every 5 seconds. It's just a place. Well, you know that. Anyone who's been there knows it. It's so exhausting. When you leave, you say, "Oh, whew. I'm glad I love it, but I'm glad to be somewhere that's a little more calm."
Well, and especially nowadays, but back in the day, in the days when you lived there, it was much nicer, and things were much better, I think.
Yeah, I think they were. I think it's changed forever, actually.
It has. The last time I was there was 2019. I was there in 2019, at the beginning of 2019, and I I could walk the streets and I didn't feel nervous and I didn't feel scared or anything. And I love New York City. I love being there. I
do too.
I just the energy at the time was so great. Although nowadays I don't know, they have so many offices that are empty, and I know working with publicists as I do, so many of them have never returned. They just
I know. Well, it's so expensive to live there. It's a hassle when things are going well. And when things are not going well, I mean, look at the subways and the buses. It's really a harsh environment.
But there's always some humor to be found in it, and you certainly got a lot of humor out of in Jenna. I enjoyed it so much. So tell us about the new book. As I said, I love the name of it. It's "Call Me When You're Dead," and it's a great cover.
Thank you. I'm very, very pleased with the cover. Well, it's about a young woman who's very lovely, and her friend is in advertising in New York. And our heroine is a medical researcher up in Ithaca, and she comes down to New York, and they have a strange dinner at which her very glamorous friend describes a failing romance, and then says, "If anything ever happens to me, I want you to get him." Now, our little medical librarian is not suitable for any nefarious doings of any kind, and she just laughs it off because her friend's so glamorous. She thinks, "Oh, it's just paranoia. You go to New York, you get paranoid," and so. Well, something does happen to her friend, and she dies as a result of it. And there is a codicil in the will giving our girl $50,000 to pursue what she has asked her to do, which is to find this guy. So she does.
So that sends us on a big adventure with.
Yes, and she gets to meet Sasha, her dead friend. Her best friend is an actor, and so he's going to help. She ropes him in, but they have to. Her task is to meet this man, Jonathan Neal, who's in advertising and very, very successful ad agency. And so all of a sudden, she's in the world of advertising, about which she knows zero, except that she doesn't want to see another ad on TV. And so she chases down this guy. She takes this as a quest, and she goes. It's something she owes her friend. And so the rest of the book is her basic adventure encountering this man in advertising and then being sucked into his life. And she doesn't, and all along the notion of getting him is ambiguous. And at some point, because she would never kill anyone. So it's not that. it's how does she get him? Is she going to plot against him? Is she going to, because in the world of advertising, plotting is a daily activity. It's like the school for plot. And you just, she doesn't know if she should mess up something for him or if she just doesn't know what to do because this is not her personality. She is a very straight shooter and a good gal. But Sasha's friend is, the guy is really a kind of devious actor. So he's just about to star in a big play. And so he's going to help her. So together, the two of them pursue this man named Jonathan Neal and ultimately corner him when he's shooting a commercial out in Arizona. With a lot of buffalo wandering around. Well, of course, they don't really wander. They just stand there. And the guy, they put the finger on the guy at LaGuardia Knoll, which is the ad agency. They think they've found the man who engineered the whole thing. And so it's then the comedy of her she's not obviously not killing anyone and she's not harming anyone in some terrible physical way. The question is, what does it mean to get someone?
And along the way, of course, she has quite a transformation herself. She has to get into this world, which is completely different from normal world, I can tell you.
And from Ithaca, because no one, not to say anything bad about Ithaca, but it's not a fashion center.
No,
and New York, I love Ithaca, but it's not. It's famous for other things and great research and things like that. But so our heroine has to go and
whose name, by the way, let's just mention is Eleanor Birch.
Eleanor Birch, who gets her, she gets a complete makeover. She becomes quite glamorous, although she always feels that the inside and the outside don't match at all. She doesn't feel glamorous inside herself. And at some point, she and her cohort, the actor, decide that the key to this all is to seduce this guy. And that's what Sasha meant by get him. They're just not sure because his life already seems utterly chaotic. He has had, when she enters the scene and meets the ad guy, one of his ads, a fast food ad for a place called Buffalo Grill, has run like 50 times within an hour and a half on TV. Okay, now you know how ads can, first you think they're delightful, then you think they're snarky, and then suddenly you think they're driving you insane, or there's a message from the Martians in there, or something's gone awry. And really, this becomes a cause célèbre that Buffalo Grill's ad ran like 50 times in this small space of time. So executives converge on the city and it becomes a big kerfuffle. And Eleanor's right at the center of it. And she feels horribly guilty because she thinks John, the errant boyfriend of Sasha, is going to lose his job and it's going to be bad. And anyway, it evolves. The notion of getting him evolves in the book.
Along the way. And of course, everybody always loves that My Fair Lady, Pygmalion kind of thing where somebody is transformed. It's always an interesting process. And then trying to get somebody to be comfortable in their New York City shoes is not easy because no matter how many times I have been to New York, and there were times when I was, visiting, and I would be in the old days when I was very rich, I would be wearing designer clothes, and I would be, really. I flew in on the Concorde, for goodness sakes, but it doesn't matter. The New York City New York City women, I will say, they have an attitude, and it is hard to break into their shell.
No kidding. It's when the first time I had 2 stints in New York, and the first time I had these 2 crazy roommates, and they were so nuts. I mean, one of them was in publishing, and one of them was in advertising, and I had no idea what they did all day, and I couldn't the way they would talk about their work, it just sounded like lunches, parties, drinks. Well, clients. The main source of irritation was clients who were bad and were cheating you and were making endless demands, and you had to be on call. I mean, it was worse than being a neurosurgeon. You had to sit by the phone, and it was, to me at the time, it just struck me. Well, it just struck me dumb. I mean, I was 19 years old. I just thought, what is it? Who are these people? They're like Martians. I mean, I'm from Ohio. We don't, this whole noisy, on 24-hour-a-day life is just not, it's not normal at all. And that's why the New Yorkers are they're the greatest people, but they work so hard.
And they're like electricity, it's like all around them. Whereas I'm from northern Michigan, I'm a Youper, and we're like unplugged. We're really unplugged up there.
I know. I used to say I'm wired, but unplugged.
It's so funny. So that's why I always enjoy books that are set in New York. It just takes me to that, because when I was young, of course, like all Midwestern girls, we all want to go to New York and become famous. Or to Europe, and in my case, I chose London, and I went there when I was young. But
lucky.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, so that's why I love this sort of world. I love the insights into the advertising world, although I do not watch any television ads anymore. Absolutely. I refuse.
Oh, seriously?
And there's no way I will watch a television ad. I mean, if I don't do it, my favorite shows on streaming, I don't. And I have a show that has commercials. I click them off the minute they come on. I refuse, especially when they started the medical commercials. That was it. I said
that is, yeah. But I'm so suggestible. I immediately think, do I have that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's what they want you to do.
Have it.
That's what they want you to do. I feel like it's too much for your mind. You don't need all that stuff in your head. And especially when they started the medical ones, and they tell you, well, this is really great for you. It's going to cure you. And then at the end, they have this person who talks really fast and says, but on the other hand, it could do and suicide and then depression and then
I know that list of things you might get.
Oh yeah, I hate that.
Oh, it's terrible. And you think, wait, I might get at least one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's such a long list. Well, I was married to someone in advertising, and he was very successful. And the gift from his ad agency was that they became famous for doing very, very high quality ads for computer companies. And so the guys who worked there were ahead of the curve, in terms of what was coming next in the computer world. And me, I'm trailing edge. I'm the last one to know about anything. And, it was fascinating, but my perception was that the business drove these poor people crazy. It just you had to work 24 hours a day. And now with all our computers and our notices and this, I mean, we could be working just 29 hours a day. I mean, we could.
Well,
it's not good for the soul.
No, it's not. And that's one of the things I like about the book. Why I wanted to mention Eleanor Birch's name is that birch trees are my favorite trees.
Yes.
And as a child, my whole life in the summer was centered around a hammock tied between two birch trees. And that's where I would read when I say, when I tell people that, I read 10,000 books before I even started this program. I would say a couple thousand were read in that hammock between birch trees. And there's nothing like the sound of the wind in a birch tree. It's like no other sound. I mean, I've traveled all over the world into all sorts of countries, and I've been to, in jungles and all sorts of places, but nothing sounds like the wind in a birch tree.
Well, now, I'm not sure. I'm sure I have heard it, but I don't know if I'd recognize. So after we get off, I'm going to go listen to some Birch Tree.
As a matter of fact, they have a video. It's 1 hour.
Oh, yeah?
You can listen to it on YouTube, and I have it. And every once in a while, especially on a Sunday morning, I will turn on that and listen for an hour to a birch tree.
Are you kidding? That is such a nice story.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing to do. You just sit back in your most comfortable chair and put that YouTube video on, and you go to a different world. That's a real treasure. So everybody should do that. And if I'm a great believer in going outdoors to read. So anybody with a backyard should have a comfortable chair out there so they can read.
Yes. Well, I love reading outside too. And there's always a breeze. I'm in Southern California, but where I am, there's always a breeze. So it's not that brute heat that's around the rest of the state.
So talking about California, I found it interesting that you've played in some comedy clubs.
Oh, yes. But it was not stand up. I did stand up, but it was fortunately, because I could never be that person who just makes jokes, but I did a number of short humor pieces, and I had a lot of success. Actually, I read one in New York, the Gotham Comedy Club, and I must, every time I read a short comedy piece, I must lose 28 pounds. I mean, sweating and nerves. And that's me reading something. So imagine, I can't imagine what stand-up comics go through, but I have done a fair amount of that. I read a piece called My Beautiful Tax Return. And I just, I had a great old time. I really got into it. In fact, so.
Well, I think it's great. Well, I think it's some of your definitely your interest in humor comes through. And as I said, when I was reading Jenna Takes the Fall, well, what's the box one?
Say again?
The box, the pancake one.
Oh, the pancake one. I'm blanking.
And Jenna Takes the Fall.
Account.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, Jenna Takes the Fall. The pancake.
Well, I'll have to go
back on another book.
And I'll have to go back and look at it. As I said, I enjoyed that book so much, and I want to remind people too that it was the 2021 Reader's Favorite Book Award Bronze Medal in fiction, right?
I know. I was very, very excited about it.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was definitely exciting. You build up such a head of steam about these books, and Call Me When You're Dead is just publishing as of today, and but I'm already onto another book and deep into like the fourth rewrite. So it's you're often off onto another project by the time another project comes through. So you're just like, wait, who's that? Was she in? Which book was she in? Well, I'm not sure, but she certainly did do something. But I do see fiction as very grounded in geography. Like I think, Jenna Takes the Fall was obviously a New York book, and so is Call Me When You're Dead. And reliving and creating, trying to understand a world that is really foreign to you, I think is a fascinating thing to do. But where you live, I tend to write about places where I've lived and try to figure out what's the key to it all. Because I believe geography really does.
Oh yes, a place can really
like your birch trees. Yeah,
it takes on a character of its own in a book, and New York is always such a powerful character in a book.
It is, and especially, during the pandemic, I've been thinking, because I still have friends in New York, and I talk to them, and I mean, it just became a ghost town.
Yeah.
And can you imagine that? And it also became 100% quieter. I think of New York as just noisy all the time, especially at night. But no, all gone.
I know. The atmosphere has certainly changed, but I like stories that give us the energetic New York, and I don't want any pandemic-y New York books. I got quite a few, actually.
No. And this our heroine in Call Me When You're Dead, she sets out to get this advertising guy, and she's immediately plunged into his life, and he's crazy. They'll be having a meeting talking about burger patio ratios to the bun.
Yeah, there's
how big is the patty related to the bun, and could we shrink the patty? Questions that, as you wander through life, you're not exactly focusing on that unless it's your business. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I mean, I guess that's one thing I observed about New Yorkers is they're so focused on their businesses and careers that it's kind of stupefying, but it you can learn from it.
Exactly. Now, you mentioned editing. What is your process? So many of my listeners did take my advice and during the pandemic start writing. And as the last 3 or 4 months, I've had quite a few of them, contact me and say, "Oh, thank you, Patsy. I finally, after 30 years, started writing my book. I finished it. I didn't think the pandemic would last so long." One person said, "I finished 2 books."
You could do a library here with this stuff. I mean, yeah.
Exactly. But then they always, quite a few of them say, "Well, now I'm ready to publish." I have to sort of wake them up to reality that that's not quite how it goes.
Right.
So what do you find with the editing process? Do you have an editor that you work with who takes you through things? What's your editing process?
Yes. I don't have one specific dedicated editor, but I have from She Writes, I have a couple of editors, and I think they're brilliant. I really do. I'm so impressed. I mean, they catch all sorts of things that I would never catch. I also think the editing process really, and it's pretty extensive. I mean, I do, before I ever submit a book, I, have one of my friends who's, a person who has an editorial background, and I say, "Please look at this and, give me a shout when I need something else." But when you're dealing with professional editors, I just think it's a joy because you learn. I mean, I'm assuming that they basically like your book and want you to succeed, which I think when you talk to people who are with the huge publishers, sometimes, well, I'm sure it's the same at any publisher. They want you to succeed. It's just that the hoops you have to go through are different depending on where you are. And I think it's a great process because you have a fresh pair of eyes who has really no skin in the game, just in terms of your story. So you get a very laser focused view of, does the story hold up? How does it work? Is this episode make any sense whatsoever, or are we just drifting hopelessly through the ether? And I find it really stimulating, especially if you my friends always say, my writer friends always say, "Well, put the manuscript on your desk and let it sit there for like 2 months." Well, that's too long for me. I can't do that. I have to give it to a couple of trusted readers just to say, "Okay, tell me what's happening with this." But I think it's as you go through and you get more professional, and then you get professional editors whom you don't know at all, and they don't know you, so they don't care if they're offending you. And it's so stimulating to hear what they have to say, because in a sense, when you write a novel, which is long, you become buried in it, kind of. You may not see things that don't make sense, and I just think it's really stimulating. And I think it's you have to assume that your editor is acting in good faith and goodwill, which has always been my experience. And I'm sure it's most authors' experience. I mean, they complain constantly, especially the famous writers complain about this, but it really does make the work better. It just does. And you have to just, as my daughter would say, just suck it up, I mean, you have to be open to, you must respond to certain criticisms and see. You don't have to accept them all, but it's a very, especially if you work hard. A novel takes at least by the time you submit it to someplace, 2 years, and usually way longer. It's been cooking around in your head, so you're not as objective about it as you might be. It's not like picking up a novel at the store and saying, "Oh, gee, this looks interesting," and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. It's like, because a fresh pair of eyes. I mean, it always, and same with reviewers. When reviewers give me reviews and stuff, you learn. I mean, even if, they say something nasty, which happily they haven't said much like that to me, but, you occasionally, and you realize, yeah, but this is, you got to take this in, you got to.
You learn from it. You learn from it.
Yeah, you learn. And it's a craft. It's not, they say it's an art. It's a craft. You're like, you got to learn how to pull that string through that piece of paper. I mean, it was a dream in my life to do this, and it took me a long time to be able to do it because I couldn't afford it. I knew I wasn't going to be able to, you're not going to start out and make lots of money as a novelist. I think this would not be a ticket to wealth. And so you have to be prepared, for that. And happily, even though I wish I'd started earlier, but happily, it pays off to be, to have some other jobs under your belt, so you know that there's a real world out there.
Well, all your life experiences come into what you write eventually. So everything that you've done, every job that you've held, every trip that you've made, somehow works into that whole process of writing.
Exactly. And it's you don't realize, like, occasionally I'll give a book to one of my friends and they will recognize an incident that happened maybe 20 years ago, and they'll say, "Oh, gee, I'd forgotten about that totally," which is so interesting when that happens. You think, oh, you become this little repository. I'm sure all authors tell you this, but when you're at a party or you meet some new person when you're talking, you know right away when they've said something that you can use or a story. They'll say, "Oh, this happened to me. I recognize, this and this. I want to tell you what happened to me the other day." And it's the way doctors, you walk into a doctor's office and the patient says, "Oh, well," he says, "how you're feeling?" And then you just start blathering on about every single thing you've ever had. And when you're at a party and someone says, "Oh, gee," and I say, "Well, tell me, what have you been doing, or how did you get your start in your job?" And then you just hear their entire life,
Yeah.
And because I think the author develops, all authors, a receptivity to any stories that people care to tell you. If they care enough to look you in the eye and say, "Listen, this is what happened to me." And you don't, I mean, it's the rare author, unless he's doing some sort of documentary style book. You're not going to reproduce what this person said to you, but you're going to listen and think about that person's life and like, "Wow, that's interesting. That's something that I haven't done and I don't know anything about it." And that is the cool thing, is that you're always learning, and you're learning on your feet, because you never know. And I've got this theory that when you're a fiction writer, people somehow they can sense that they can just tell you everything, and you're not being judgmental. You're not saying, "Oh dear, you're a horrible person." You're there listening, and they love it.
They do.
And yeah, and they'll tell you. They'll just start saying, "Oh, you do something with books." I'm sure you get hundreds of people who just say, "Oh," and then all of a sudden you're deep in the middle of some fascinating story that you would you wouldn't have met this person. You wouldn't have really known what they're talking about. And And it's just neat. I mean, that's the neatest thing about it, is that you are learning.
Exactly. Well, writing, when you become a writer and you find this joy on paper, one of the things is getting these stories from people. And then, of course, doing research. Research just is so marvelous. And you meet so many interesting people along the way when you're doing research.
I know.
There are so many great things. Now, with this book, well, with both books, with the new book, as I said, I mentioned the cover. Did your publisher select the cover, or do you have an input into the cover?
Yes, I have input. Yes, the publisher suggests. Well, they asked me my ideas about the cover. Do I have any vision for the cover? Now, with Jenna Takes the Fall, I had the swimming pool image, because some adventures of hers take place in the swimming pool. Now, in Call Me When You're Dead, they went to work on it really, really fast. The other one, Jenna Takes the Fall, took much longer. With this one, I said, well, I sort of envision maybe someone with binoculars, and maybe some indication of New York City, because this is very much a fish out of water story, a girl coming into the big city. And they came up with this cover so fast.
It's very clever.
I just love it. And if you see the girl is our heroine, has got her binoculars and she's looking at the skyscrapers. And
I saw that. They put the reflection of the skyscraper. Very clever. It was so good that I was impressed. It was almost like a cover that would have been done by one of the Penguin cover artists, who are like the best in the world.
I know.
It's really great.
The other thing I love is, did you see the little binoculars on the back cover and on the spine?
Uh-huh.
If you look at and it's so cute.
It's adorable. It is.
Now that is really.
And the skyline at the top of every chapter, very clever. Well, I just want to thank you so much, A.R. Taylor. And I want
thank you, and you are increasing my joy daily.
And I want to tell people first to get the new book called Call Me When You're Dead, and then go back and get Jenna Takes the Fall. And you have a nice website. I love your website. It's called
thank you,
lonecamel.com. And
I know what's with the camel.
I know it's adorable. I love it. Great. It's really good. And they can find out more about you and what you're up to. And AR.
Thank you, Patsy.
Okay. Look forward to talking to you pretty soon. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Okay. We'll go to commercials and we'll be back with a birthday book. Oh, no, a book buzz. Sorry. Let's do the Devon Miller book buzz.
Hey everyone, it's Devon Miller, author and illustrator of the Mr. Tickety Tock Clock children's book series, reporting for Joy on Paper with the latest on children's book buzz. You know, reading is simply amazing. You know what else is simply amazing? The new book from the live-action educational preschool series, Mr. K's Clubhouse. The new book Mr. K's Clubhouse presents is Carry the Car. Carry the Car was written by Jen Pollard and Karan Stark. The book was illustrated by Art Portra. Karan Stark is the creator and host of Mr. K's Clubhouse, while Jen Pollard serves as the head writer. Jen originally wrote Carry the Car for one of her scripts, and Karan turned it into a book. Jen had no idea that writing for the series would lead into publishing her first children's book. Carry the Car tells the story of Carrie taking a friend and their mother to the park. While doing this important job, he sees others doing important jobs along the way. While teaching about different modes of transportation, the book reminds readers that no matter how big or small you are, you're an important part to the world. When reading this book, children and parents are sure to consider this book, as what Mr. K always says, simply amazing. This is Devon Miller reporting for Joy on Paper. For more book buzz involving children's books and authors, head on over to radio-joyonpaper.com and click on Devon Miller's Book Buzzes. I think it's about time that I buzz out now.
Hi, Avery. Okay, just play my intro music. Okay, I'm just waiting for Avery Naughton. Hold it. This, I love birthday books. I have a birthday book every year. Well, I've had birthday books for my kids, of course, and I love having them sign things. And over the years, you see all the changes in their handwriting and all. I think it's so much fun. So I've always loved knowing what's happening on a birthday, somebody's birthday. I find it fascinating. One of my son's birthday, it falls on the same day as Waterloo, and so I always like to I like to play that song for him on his birthday, and it's just fascinating. The connections. Sometimes the connections when you discover something really fine. I just love to know what's happening and where people come from and what people do and what people are thinking. And when you have a birthday, I think it's fun to just go back and you can look it up. I love that nowadays you can look it up and find out what happened on your birthday and go back in time and imagine if you had been born in a different year, what type of person you would have been. So this is one of the wonderful things about reading is that there's so much you can learn. And when I was looking at this book, it's a National Geographic book, and everybody knows that for me, National Geographic books are the top. I mean, they really are the top and the best. Especially, we have to encourage reading, and somehow I've been shocked lately to discover how few people that we really have a situation here in America where so many people are not reading at their age level. And I want to do everything I can to promote reading. And sometimes it is a spur, just the right book in their hand. And that's why I always tell everybody, if you want to give a gift of a National Geographic book, and especially to kids. And so I'm so happy to welcome to Joy on Paper, Avery Naughton. Hi, Avery.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Wow. The name of the book is Weird But True Birthdays, 300 Fantastic Facts to Celebrate. Wow. You must have had a lot of fun with this book.
Oh, absolutely. I was so excited to see that this was going to be the next topic in our Weird But True series. I think it's something that kids love. It's something that parents love. Any adults really. People love celebrating their birthdays, learning fun facts about astrology, birthdays throughout history. So we're really excited to see what our readers think of it.
Wow, I think they're going to love it because for me, a National Geographic book is always great just to have next to you. I think that you can always just pick up a National Geographic book and find something in it that you will love. And this one, there's so many things I didn't know, and I really found it absolutely fascinating. So now, what is your position now? You're executive vice president? What are you?
No, I'm an associate editor on our team. So I'm part of the team that puts together the book. So we usually have one editor on each book, and we have authors, writers, fact checkers, and then our in-house design and photo teams help put it together. So I'm lucky enough to be able to start on this project and, work the whole way through with it. So it's very exciting. I'm super happy to see it on the market now.
Well, and it's beautiful. So what do you do? Did you find the birthdays, or you have a research team?
Yeah, so what happens is internally with our editorial team, we pick the topic of the book, so in this case, Weird True Birthdays, and then I go ahead and hire out our researchers and writers. So in Weird But True, that's the same role. And our incredible researchers on this project are Paige Towler and Grace Hill-Smith. So they're the ones who have come up with these 300 fun facts. And from there, when they submit first drafts, I'll go through and make edits, changes, request some replacements, and then we send it off to fact checking and copy edit. And then after that, we hand it over to our in-house photo and design team, and they work their magic, to make really beautiful interiors that are super eye-catching, colorful, and fun.
Well, I love all of them. I love the most diamonds. April's birthstone. 12,638 diamonds in one ring.
Yes, we have a ton of fun stuff related to birth months. So think astrology, gemstones, all of that good stuff. So we want to make sure that people can kind of feel a personal connection to this and look out, for their birth months and fun facts, related to their birthday too.
Well, they're all fun. And of course, the illustrations, the photographs are beautiful because, of course, they're National Geographic. I liked, I had forgotten that Big Bird flipped the ceremonial switch that lit the Empire State Building green and yellow to celebrate Sesame Street's 50th birthday.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun facts that celebrate kind of different celebrations, different anniversaries. One of my favorites is that in a contest celebrating the 40th birthday of the Rubik's Cube, the winner solved the toy in only 5.9 seconds.
How do they do that? I don't know how they do that. Have you ever tried?
No, it's incredible. I've tried and failed many times, and then I think I finally gave up.
Me too. I gave up. My boys could do it, and I never. And they tried to explain it to me once, and it just never got in my head. I don't know how they do it.
Right. I feel the same. It's a bit too difficult for me.
So, what is your birth month?
Mine is August, so August 19th, and I'm also an identical twin, so that's always kind of fun. We have a ton of different twin facts in here, so that was exciting to see for me. Oh,
that's nice. Yeah, I saw that there were a number of identical twins, so now I see why the great interest.
Right, absolutely. It's funny, I always hear from people that they're so excited when they find out I'm a twin. They're even more excited about triplets. So I thought we had to include some in there. One of, I think, the most astonishing ones to me is that a high school in Illinois, USA, had the most twin pairs in the same class year, and that was 44 pairs of twins.
How did that happen? It's very intriguing.
It's intriguing. It's some things in the water there, I guess.
Yeah, that's a lot of twins. It's very strange. I thought that one was. Yes. So, that's funny. It's funny. I have never met identical twins. In all my life, I've never met any, and I always wanted to.
Oh, wow!
No. Now, what are the odds that you never meet twins? I've never met anybody who was a twin.
That's fascinating. Well, maybe we should dig into that for the next birthday book.
That's it. You would think that out of, all these years, I would have met somebody who was a twin, because I would like to have sort of just seen it. It does seem amazing when when you've never seen a twin, that there could be two people who look alike.
Right, absolutely.
Do you and your sister, did you dress alike when you were young?
Our mom always let us pick out our own outfits. So I think sometimes we would match, different colors, but for the most part, we, wore our own things. And I think we only played, one kind of trick in school, but yeah, we didn't really take advantage of looking so similar, I guess.
Yeah, you didn't take each other's place or something. And
no, I don't think we ever tried that.
You never tried that?
Yeah.
Like one of you was better in, is one of you better in math than the other?
I would say we're both good at the same subject. I wish one of us was better at math and could teach the other one. I do think we're better at certain sports than others growing up. But yeah, we tend to have some of the same interests, maybe just growing up in the same household.
Well, I love all the twin ones, and there are quite a few actually.
Yes, there are.
There are, and that's pretty cool. Now, what I really found interesting, I love the ones. As I mentioned right away, I jumped on the diamond one. I like diamond rings, but I like birthstones, and I think the turquoise one. I had not known that the December birthstone turquoise could be a love charm, because I think that's a beautiful, beautiful birthstone.
Oh, absolutely. And we, made sure to include all of the different birthstones and fun facts about that. One interesting one is that for thousands of years, people around the world believe that eating ground up pearls, which is June's birthstone, could cure disease.
Yes, I knew that. As a matter of fact, I'm working on a, I'm working on a story about that. It's very funny. One of the things that I also like, I like the ones that include animals, of course, because first of all, Nat Geo has so many wonderful, great animal pictures. Your photographers just capture animals like no one else.
Oh yeah, the photos in here are absolutely incredible, and us being National Geographic, I wanted to make sure that we included a lot of facts that tie to the natural world. One of my favorites is that baby blue whales gain about 200 pounds every single day until their first birthday.
I know, I saw that, and that's a big one. It had to take 2 pages. So right across the
right.
Yeah, that's a big one. But
absolutely, it is.
Well, 200 pounds every day. Whoa! And I of course, there's also the one with the cats, the mirror image twins. That was interesting. I didn't know there were such things.
I know, and one of my other favorites is that 9-banded armadillos are the only animals to consistently give birth to identical quadruplets, which is super, super rare, in the natural world.
Well, it's incredible. And I didn't know this animal. I mean, the parrotlets. I had green rumped parrotlets. That the photograph is beautiful. And each parent creates a special call for them. I had not heard of parrotlets.
Yeah, right. We're always trying to, show our readers things they might not have heard of before or seen. So we wanted to try and look in some of those lesser known facts and animals and places.
Well, I think this is a perfect, of course, I think Nat Geo books are always a perfect gift. But this gift, everybody, I think you should get it. Everybody will love it. Kids will love it. Grown-ups will love it. You'll spend a lot of time going through it, and it's a great conversation piece. It's a kind of book that you want to, have right there on your coffee table, and it's something to talk about and something different. And I love it. It's beautiful. It's Nat Geo kids book, but it's not just for kids. Weird but true birthdays. 300 fantastic facts to celebrate. And Avery Naughton, thank you so much for being on Joy on Paper. And tell everyone at Nat Geo, I am hoping that they are going to start advertising that Thanksgiving Day, for me, is a Nat Geo day. It is a day to bring, when you go to somebody's house for Thanksgiving, don't bring them wine, don't bring them flowers, bring them a Nat Geo book.
Oh, I love that. I'll definitely tell the rest of the team.
Yeah, tell everybody. That's what they should be promoting, because that's what I do every Thanksgiving. Well, not during the pandemic, unfortunately, but that's the thing to do. A Nat Geo book on Thanksgiving Day.
I love that. I'll definitely tell them. And I know it's a good idea. I love it.
Okay. Well, Avery Naughton, thank you so much. You're not a vice president yet, but what the heck? The way you're working on great books like this, you're going to make it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. The book is available wherever books are sold, of course, online, and you go straight to the National Geographic Kids page. It's a beautiful page with lots of activities for kids. And if you don't have a kid in your family, buy one of these books and send it to a children's hospital near you, or to St. Jude's. And the kids need books, and they love them. Okay? Okay. Well.
Perfect. That sounds great.
All right. Thank you now. Bye-bye. All right. I think they pulled her out now because she has another interview to do. But I'm very happy that I got to talk to Avery Naughton. Very, very nice. Anyway, remember what I always tell you. One of the joys of life is to see your words on paper, to hear them spoken in an audible book, or if you're very, very lucky to hear those magic words, lights, camera, action, and your book will be turned into a major motion picture, streaming video, or a series on the Hallmark Channel, like I am hoping for Carol J. Perry, who's going to have a day here. October 25th is the Carol J. Perry Day on Joy on Paper. Meanwhile, say something nice to somebody, and I will say something nice to Big Ed in the control room. Thank you, Ed, for everything. And there were more books here waiting for me today. Oh, and he saluted me, and I saluted him. And it is a wonderful and beautiful day all over the country. Everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Read a book. Bye-bye.
WTAN, Clearwater.
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
WZHR, Zephyrhills.
FM 104.3.
Listen.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Rocket Mortgage.
I'm Steve Kathan. A Memphis kidnapping investigation is now a murder case after the discovery of a woman's body 3 days after she vanished.
The body was found in a grassy lot 7.5 miles from where Eliza Fletcher was abducted while jogging on Friday. And it's just yards from the Longview Gardens apartments where police say the suspect washed his clothes in his brother's sink and cleaned the inside of his SUV.
Reporter Quamitra Wilborn of WREG-TV says the accused is a 38-year-old man who was convicted of abducting an attorney 2 decades ago and spent time in prison. Now to Uvalde, Texas, where it's the first day of school, nearly 4 months after the mass shooting that left 19 students and 2 teachers dead.
Not quite a normal first day at school. Most of the kids that survived the shooting at Robb Elementary are now attending Flores Elementary. Parents in the drop-off line are very aware of the security risks.
It's kind of nervous. I just noticed that the fence weren't here, but then it's kind of sad because you don't want to cage them up.
Also not yet installed are the additional cameras and improved locks on classrooms. Some parents have opted for virtual learning.
Hopefully things will get better for our kids and for our community.
State police, grief counselors, and comfort dogs are also on campus. Chris Fox for CBS News, Uvalde, Texas.
Newly updated COVID-19 vaccine booster shots are rolling out this week all over the country. White House COVID coordinator Dr. Ashish Jha.
This makes us, the United States, the first nation with new vaccines that match the version of the Omicron variant that is currently dominant both here in the U.S. and around the world.
At least 2 people have died in the wildfire racing through Riverside County, California, that's burned more than 2,400 acres. Sheriff Sergeant Brandy Swan says it's a dangerous situation.
Fire changes very quickly, and we could go from evacuation warning into an evacuation order very, very quickly.
At her estate in Scotland, Queen Elizabeth greeted the outgoing Prime Minister Boris Johnson today, then welcomed a new one.
Because this was a midterm change of leadership within Britain's governing Conservative Party, the overwhelming majority of British voters had no hand in selecting Liz Truss. So what do ordinary Brits think of their new Prime Minister?
I don't really trust any of them, to be honest.
We got to be hopeful, haven't we?
Hopefully she'll do better than Boris Johnson. Opinion polls can be fickle, but for now they show Truss's Conservatives well behind the opposition Labour Party. Liz Truss has less than 2 years to turn that around. Vicky Barker, CBS News, London.
Wall Street, right now the Dow is up 42 points. The NASDAQ is ahead 5 points. This is CBS News.
This hour's newscast is presented by Rocket Mortgage. Need to know what it takes for a home loan to fit your budget and your family? Rocket can.
Rates are on the...
And now, with the Only in America Minute, here's your host, Bill Cochran.
Gavin Newsom is looking forward to the year 2035, when America will not be able to drive at at least buy any cars in California. The American people won't be able to do that. I guess a lot of people in California will plan on continuing to walk like they walked up from California, from Mexico. Maybe they'll just keep going and go right up to Washington where they can buy a car, a gas-driven car. Can you imagine that this is happening, that the climate people have so much power in this country right now, the power of the purse? And will the Republicans take back power in November? I certainly hope so. And tonight's Tuesday. So if you want to listen to things like this, a lot of political things, if you're into politics or anything, listen tonight to my show, 6 o'clock, Tam Talk.
Tee off with On the Tee Florida, Saturdays from 11 to 12 on the Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection Radio Network. From PGA coverage to putt-putt prowess, On the Tee Florida is a PGA fan and a heck's perfect round of informative, humorous conversation and coverage. Every Saturday, talking golf in Tampa Bay and across the USA. Hit them straight with On the Tee Florida, brought to you by Coors Light, Saturdays from 11 to 12.
Enough is enough. And if you've heard enough of the conservative right-wing agenda that overwhelms the Tampa Bay AM radio band, won't you join me, Ed Golly,
and me, Joe Reinhardt, every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. for The Voice of Reason.
No spin, no alternative facts.
Just refreshing, straight talk concerning the events of the day.
Thursday, 10 a.m., right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hey, you new to the area or just want to know about the best hidden gems and upcoming events? Stay tuned. Be Local Buzz with Devin takes you to these places, introduces you to the best businesses, and tells you about upcoming buzz. Preset your radio to Tan Talk 1340 AM or 106.1 FM every Thursday from 4 to 5. That is the Be Local Buzz with Devin on Tan Talk 1340 AM and 106 FM every Thursday from 4 to 5. Looking forward to speaking with you.
Show me the money.
It's the Employment Opportunity Hour with Gene Hahn every Thursday night from 7 until 8.
So the purpose of the show is to help you out there to find something that you enjoy doing instead of a job. And at the start of the show, I normally give out a formula, which I know will guarantee you to find the type of job that you want right now.
Find out the formula to an enjoyable job with Gene Hodges' Employment Opportunity Hour every Thursday night from 7 until 8 here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Show me the money.
Keep your radio dial right here. We're playing your favorites all day long. It's the music of your life, right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.